Hey guys, Aiden here with a new video, but first I want to thank all my members for helping out the channel. Really means a lot to me for going that extra mile. Now about the video, if you need a super in-depth node and worker guide, yeah, this guide isn't it, chief. This will be a guide for people who want nodes for processing materials, maybe start of their empire, but it's not gonna be in-depth to like how everything works, etc. You also need a little bit information of how to hire stuff and all that, because I already covered that in other videos, so I'm not gonna pull that back up. So okay, you just started out with the game and you have been slacking on your node empire, or you've been playing for a long while and you've been slacking on your node empire like I have most of the time. I just use my nodes for cheap materials once in a while when I want to process a lot. So when I want to do some AFK stuff, I use my materials. But now you want to start out, you got some decent CP, maybe you don't, but you're stuck on what type of workers you want. Okay, so we got three types. We got goblins, humans and giants. Which one will be perfect for you? Goblins are for people who either only turn on their console for a few hours per day, or if they're playing it hardcore and you are like online all the time and can feed them multiple times per day. During night when you take your nightly bathroom trip, you're gonna feed them. If you can't do that, don't get goblins, because they work so fast, which is good, that they need constant upkeep, which is really bad. So goblins only if you can provide feeding every few hours. Now next up we have humans. These are the guys that are in the middle range of the pack, not too fast, not too slow. If you have your console on all day 24/7 and you're near it to feed these guys, I use humans. I usually just feed them 1 to 2 times a day, so there is some time lost that they're not actually doing anything. These guys are average in everything and their upkeep is pretty solid. It's a decent choice all around. Now lastly we got the giants. These are typically for those who AFK a lot but leave the console on. They work slow, but they also don't need to be fed a lot, so if you life skill a lot away from your console, pick up giants. If I could start over, I would probably take giants for everything, because yeah, sometimes also I forget to feed them and then they're not doing anything for 2 days, so yeah, there's that also. When you go to hire them from the NPC, try to hire blue versions right from the get-go. Of course, get yellow, orange if they do pop up, but try to not bother with greens if you have enough energy to spend on this. If you have very little energy, it is really okay to hire green versions. Just with blue it might take a little bit longer, but you'll skip out the entire living process from well, green to blue thing. Now never hire white workers, because they're crap. Now onto the node itself. What should you take? Well, first of all, you want chicken, you want honey, you want grape and olives. So get these nodes, as they're all used in cooking common recipes. Chicken gets you bird meat and eggs. Honey allows you to make honey wine later on for imperial cuisine, and olives are vegetables while the grapes are fruits, so they're mostly used in whatever food you're gonna cook up. Next up, you will want to get timber nodes, because processing timber into plywood is a very nice income. I put that in my 50 million passive silver per day for not a whole load of work. Try to find the timber nodes closest to town first. It really doesn't matter what timber, it all sells when it's processed into plywood. To get plywood you need to like process timber twice. First you get planks, then you get the plywood. Now some plywood is worth more than others, but pretty much all the plywood is always needed. Then get all the ogres, the ogres. Try to get all the ores. Again, try to get the ones closer to the time as there goes my English. Again, try to get the closest one to town as possible. Remember, we aren't trying to make an empire that gets specific ores that we need for our life skills. We just need as much as we can get for RCP, so that our vaults will always be stocked when we want to process. Now, is it okay to grab a node further out? Sure, it's your CP. I also have timber nodes that are far out because it's a more rare timber that sells well, so it's not the end of the world. But for us right now, we want to process the ore and timber. We want quantity over quality. Later on you can still change stuff around in case you need a bunch of specific nodes. Chances are you will have a lot more CP at that point to splurge on it, and also a lot more knowledge. But for now, just go for the cheaper, closer to town nodes. Now finally, there are also powder and trace nodes. I would suggest only going after the ones that are actually worth something, like those things that sell for 50-70k, and not waste your CP on something you can abundantly buy on the central market for say 10k each or below. Check the traces beforehand. I will include a website in the link below that I myself use to check my nodes on and what traces come from what node. Now, if you're planning to do alchemy, keep all the saps you get from 3 nodes. It's going to come in handy for you at some point, and some of them are rare bottlenecks. Now, like I said, this isn't a really in-depth guide, but I hope this little guide helps you to start out with a node empire that is easy to maintain with too little to no time spent on it, because if you really want to win max it's not gonna be an easy task. I just like the free silver it provides for my processing needs. I don't know.